all the build-up and reaction to Rangers in the Europa League on Independence Live.
Good evening to you and welcome to a Locker Room European special for the second leg of Rangers against Atletico Bilbao with our 8 o'clock kickoff. We are on till 7:30. We'll give you the team news and we'll give you our reactions to the team news as well. Joined tonight by Robbie Collins, and for the first game ever on the show, we actually signed him up last night. It was a free Borsman deal. We got Alex on. So Alex Cruikshank is on a podcast called The Dugout podcast, and I'm delighted to see Alex is on the show tonight. How are you, Alex?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, no bother. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Get your comments coming in. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X tonight as well. I don't know about you, Robbie, right? But when I say these kind of Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X, I've got to make sure I've got my teeth in the right way up, because then I would mess it up if I don't. But then again, I mess it up anyway. So Robbie's got to look out for the team news. It should be coming out very soon, and dig in the next 10 minutes as well. Get your predictions in, what the score will be, what the team will be, all that nonsense, and we'll talk about it between now and 7:30. Alex, I've got to come to you first. Obviously, you were at the first game at Ibrox. First of all, what was your take on that game?
I think, considering everything that happened in the game, it was a good result in the end. Obviously, you're hamstrung when Robin Propper's been sent off within about 10 minutes. And then from then on, it's backs to the wall. A lot of really strong defending from Rangers, some really good performances in there. Although I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I think Cyril Dessers did really well up there by himself. Trying to just run the back line and press and hold up the ball, try and get us out when we had opportunities. And obviously, you have that massive penalty save from Liam Kelly. So all in all, it was walking out the ground. It almost felt like a win, because of but going into the game, you would have wanted to go to Spain with a lead. However, coming out of the game, you've I think a lot of the support, and myself included, we fancy our chances 11v11.
Robbie, we did the show that last week before the game, and obviously after the game, and all the talk was about with Jack Butland, Big Lock, and then Kelly come in. And when you gave us a team lines at 7:15 last week, we were like, oh, is that going to pay off? But obviously it paid off for, first of all, Liam Kelly, but also Barry Ferguson, because it was a big call to make.
Yeah, it was a very big call, but as we said on the show last week, Barry has been very public and stating that he wants to be the guy that's going to make the big changes. He's not scared to drop players if they're not playing at their best. And look, Kelly had a brilliant performance in the first leg on away at Pittodrie on the Sunday. He was getting a bit of criticism for that first goal. For me, I don't think there's much he can do, to be honest with you. I think it's a really nice hit for Clarkson, so I wouldn't give him too much stick. But it will be interesting tonight. Again, we asked the question last week at this time, Michael. It'll be interesting again to see who Barry picks and goes. Will it be Kelly, or will he go back to Jack Butland?
Alex?
I think he should stick with Liam Kelly. just like you said at the weekend there, he is receiving a bit of criticism. Maybe he could have got a stronger hand to it, but it was a nice hit. And the performance last week, I think, justifies him staying. I think Jack Butland for a while now has been making high profile errors, and maybe taking him out of the spotlight for a little bit will benefit him and Rangers in the long run. So stick with a man that's got you to this point, who saved a penalty last week, in my opinion, Michael.
The thinking of proper. We done the show after the game, obviously, and like I don't know what it was right in real time, Alex, at the game, but obviously me, Robbie, was watching the game, and it was a red card all day long.
Yeah, I think so. I at the time, when he brought him down, I was thinking, and then when the referee produced the yellow, I thought, he's got away with one there, because I did think myself it was a last man denying a goal scoring opportunity, and Aki Williams would have been in. And when the ref went to the screen, I thought, that's him away. And the feeling in the ground as well, I was sitting there like that with my head in my hands, and going, oh no, we're going to be playing practically a whole game against, a team with some incredible attacking players with 10 men. But like I said, Rangers defended really well. Also, though, but Bilbao, before their game at the weekend, they won 3-1. They after the Rangers game, I looked into it, they've had a wee bit of problem with scoring. I think their 3 games before, including the Rangers game, the last 3 games were 0-0. So yeah, it's after that, I was thinking, they've had a problem with scoring. So maybe if Rangers can, hold on, and with 11 players, with a more of an opportunity to get up the pitch, maybe they can grab something.
Yeah, and I think that has been Athletic Clubs in recent times anyway, the biggest problem. I think before that they'd only scored maybe 2 in the last 3 games in the league as well. So, they're having a bit of trouble, before the Vallecano game, finding the net. Obviously, the big team news tonight in terms of Athletic Bilbao on their side is one of the William brothers going to be missing. I think it was Inaki that has maybe had a few doubts off the manager, so it'll be interesting to see when the team sheet comes out at 2:15 if he's missing, because I don't think at Ibrox we've maybe seen the best out of both William brothers. I thought they were quite slow, and I don't think they maybe utilised enough what they created. They did have a lot of the ball during the game. I don't think they done need enough with it. So it'll be interesting to see if they're available for this game, because I fully expect that at the home stadium in front of the home fans, they'll be more up for trying to make stuff happen.
Yeah, I think they're actually draw specialists. I'm reading this stat off the top of my head, so don't hold me to it. But I'm sure they've lost less games in the La Liga than Real Madrid. It's just the draws that have done them, and perhaps why they're fourth and not up there, maybe in the title race.
Yeah, 12 draws, 4 losses this season in La Liga. Real Madrid had 6 draws and 5 losses. So either they've lost less than Real Madrid this season, which it's full credit to them, but they're no been able to go and get the wins. But don't get me wrong, this is I said it last week, this is a Bilbao team that have took points off of Barcelona and Real Madrid. They're no pushovers. I suspect it'll be a hard challenge for Rangers.
Alex, you got all the Rangers games at home as well. What was the fans' point of view when Barry Ferguson made that call last week to bring Kelly in and drop Butland?
I'll start by saying, for me personally, before the game, I was just saying bring Liam Kelly in, because I just, like I said earlier, I think Jack Butland had made too many high-profile errors. Maybe he's getting his own head a little bit, and I think the reaction from the support was that it was a justified decision. Kelly, and he had that wee spell when Butland had that sort of mysterious kind of leg bleed where he was out for a bit, and Kelly did really well, obviously, in goals for the 3-0 win against Celtic on January 2nd at Ibrox, although he didn't really have much to do that day, but he did make a few good saves in his time. So I don't think it was a case of, you're not dropping to a terrible keeper. I think both at their performing maximum, you'd prefer Jack Butland, but Jack Butland's just not been himself at all this season. So I think that the reaction from the support was it was a justified decision from Barry Ferguson.
Alex, what's the views of the Rangers fans in terms of, like, we've been asking this question a lot, me, Robbie, and all the other guys in the show, that Rangers are struggling in the league. There you go. I think Rangers got out of jail on Sunday against Aberdeen, and I think it would feel like a victory to the Rangers fans in Skegga Goose picking up a point. But tell me what it's like going to Ibrox, see your team kind of go behind and then coming back, but also more times than not this season, going behind at Ibrox and then just losing the game.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I don't know what it is, in this team. Since it's funny because under Philippe Clement, I think we had the joint best home record in the league, along with Celtic. On the home form table, I think we were second, only on goal difference. We'd got the same amount of points. And then we lose that one to St Mirren when Clement was still in charge. And then Barry Ferguson comes in, and I don't think he's won at Ibrox. And under Clement as well, although the results weren't there, our defence wasn't like the worst. They did make mistakes, but we did have a decent defensive record under Barry Ferguson. It's been really poor, and we've seen it multiple times where we need to go a couple of goals down to kick into life and league scenarios. I don't know if it's a mentality thing. Like even at the weekend there, go two down to Aberdeen, that they have 10 men and they come back. Although I think a lot of that was down to Jimmy Tillene's changes, moving Graham Shinnie out, in rather than where he was on the park, because he was playing well, and then you put him in the middle, and it sort of goes from there. But yeah, defensive fragility and sort of domestic scenarios is what been undoing Rangers, and not having the right attitude from the start. There was a lot of talk about the fight that Barry Ferguson had instilled in them after they went 2-0 down to Kilmarnock and then came back, and then they've done it a couple of times, but why can't they show that fight from the first minute?
There we go. We've got predictions coming in. 2-1 to Atletico. Leo says, and Paul Donaldson says that. Leo says Jesus to score first. Paul Donaldson says they celebrated like they won the Champions League on Sunday. I think Alex will have something to say about that bit differently. Atletico 2-1 by Atletico 2-1 by at least 3 goals tonight. And Leo says, I hope you are eating your words tonight. I don't know about you, but I'll be eating my dinner soon. Maybe not my works, but anyway. Robbie, what do you think? Obviously, the team will be coming out very soon, but what do you think roughly your team will be tonight?
I think for Rangers, I don't think they need to change too much. Obviously, with Proper suspended, they will be forced to make at least one change. Bailey Rice, I suspect, won't play either. Although I'm not actually sure what his status is. I don't know if he'll be on the bench or no, but I suspect it'll be similarly the same Rangers team that we've seen in the first leg. I don't think it needs to change too much, so it'll still be Kelly in goals. I think he'll play the back three, probably Tavernier, Balogun maybe. I don't know if Balogun's available actually. I think you're probably better off asking Alex about the team sheet. I'm not too sure what the back three situations look like, because I know after the game on Sunday we sort of spoke about it.
I think Balogun is available. I think the way I'd go is I'd go with the 3 and the 2 wing backs. I'd go Kelly, Balogun, Suter, Tav, And then right wing back, I'd go Ridvan. He's played there a few times before. He's done quite well. On the left, I'd go Jefty. I'd go Barron and Raskin. Diamandi's back, so I think he'll be back in the starting 11 this week. And then I'd go Dessers with Cherny playing off of him up top.
I was looking at Barry Ferguson's press conference yesterday. I don't know if you saw any of it, Alex. He was talking about the game. Well, obviously the majority of the press conference was taken up by speaking about the game. He said, "This is a game you want to be involved in, and we're looking forward to it." Also, the interesting thing for me is, Alex, he says we need to make sure we need to keep 11 players on the pitch. Now, that's been a few weeks. That Rangers discipline has went at times. So, do you feel as though important that if you've got any chance to win the game tonight, you would have to keep 11 men on the park?
Yeah, absolutely. I think your chance goes out the window if you go down to 10 again. I don't think they'll make the same mistake twice of not capitalising on a team with one less man. And even if Rangers hold out again, if they have 10, and you've got extra time to deal with as well. So if it does happen, I'm really hoping it doesn't happen. If it does happen, I can't see any other result than Bilbao going through.
I mean, I thought with a decent performance last week from Rangers. I actually felt Rangers played better with 10 men. I don't know if you would agree, guys. There.
Yeah, I think Rangers played better with 10 men.
I don't know about playing better, but I thought there was a bit more organisation, a bit more concentration. Your sort of alertness is heightened in that moment. If you're down, if you've ever played in a game of football and you go down to 10 men, you're really concentrating. So I think that was that. But if they can get the organisation together with 11, I think they're in with a real chance.
So we have now got the answers to the team tonight. So Robbie's got to give us a team news tonight. I know that you were struggling last week with the Bilbao names. Don't worry, I think me and Alex will forgive you for that. But yeah, if you've got the Rangers team there, Robbie.
So in goals again, he's picked Liam Kelly. Both fullbacks will be Ridvan Yilmaz and Jefty. The back three will be Tavernier, Balogun, Suter, Raskin and Diomande in the midfield with Hadji. I believe he'll probably play in the number 10 with Cherny and Dessers playing through the middle. So there's not too many changes. Obviously, Cropper's had to drop out the team. And Bailey Rice is on the bench as well. So it's pretty much the team that you imagined Barry Ferguson was going to pick. I was just going to say as well, in terms of Athletic Club's lineup, one of the Williams brothers is not there. I believe it is Anaki, so it is Nico Williams on the left, but Anaki Williams is not on the right.
What could you think of that team, Alex?
Yeah, I think it's a strong team. I think it was only one off what I said it would be. I think it was Hadji instead of Barron. So that leads me to believe Diomande will be playing a deeper role than he has in this 5 system. Usually he's sort of kind of like a floating 10, floating out to the left, and he does get back for defensive cover. But it looks like he'll be playing in a more defensive role with Raskin in there, trying to break up the play. Hadji looks like he'll be picking up that role, and I don't mind it. I really like Yanis Hadji. The only drawback with him is he's slow as anything, isn't he? It's like he's towing a truck when he's sprinting. But yeah, he's a good player, and you saw his quality at the weekend. A beautiful goal against Aberdeen after Dessers hits the post. So it's a decent side. I think it has the tools to get a result tonight.
Alex, am I right in saying that there's a couple of Bundesliga clubs that are sniffing around Janis Hadji for the next season?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was I can't remember the other one, but I think Mönchengladbach was one of them. Although I think Hadji's made it abundantly clear that he wants to stay. There was that report that said he was wanting to leave, and he actually quote tweeted it saying fake news. Sort of, and after the game, I think it was an interview with the club at the weekend before the reporter could ask the question. I think he came out and he said, first of all, I just want to say, don't believe everything you read in the media, kind of thing. So I think he's made it clear that he wants to stay. It's whether the club puts the contract on the table. And for me as well, I'm undecided about him. Leo letting us know Hoffenheim was the other one that they were interested in him. But I'm a bit undecided because you can definitely see his quality, but ever since his injury, he's kind of been in and out this side. But he's still, he's always picked for Romania, and he's excellent for Romania. He was good in the Euros as well. So I just think if we can unlock that version, the Romania version of Janis Hadji on a consistent basis, I'd love to keep him. But it's all down to whether the club offer him a contract, I think.
Thank you, Jim. Watching the show on YouTube, he says, "Come on, Glasgow Rangers, let's do it tonight." And I suppose it'll be good for Rangers fans, probably, but it'll be good for the whole of Scottish football because it'll help the coefficient.
Yeah, I hope Rangers do it tonight. I think they've got a real chance. They're playing at a very beautiful stadium as well. I must say, I don't know if anybody's seen the pictures, but it is a very nice venue to play a game of football. So they will be up for this game. I do believe there's a big travelling support going over there as well. So, look, Rangers should be confident for this. In my opinion, although I'm not trying to disregard Athletic Bilbao, they're a very talented team with some very good players. Rangers have also got some very good players in European football. We've seen what these players can do in the big stages. Obviously, in the league, it's a bit different. Michael, we've had multiple chats about Rangers' form in the league. But Rangers, when they're into Europe, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter what manager it is. They always show up. But look, taking that away for Bilbao, they've got a very good manager in Valverde. He knows what he's doing. He's got a very good group of players as well. So it'll be a tough game. But for me, there's no reason why Rangers can't go over there and win.
Yeah, you mentioned the coefficient there. I've just got a stat here. I read earlier the other day from Scotland's coefficient on Twitter or X. Rangers will end the season at least 25th in the UEFA coefficient rankings. It will be their highest ranking since 2008. If they achieve at least a draw tonight, they will rise to 24th, and they haven't been higher than that since 1995. So I think it speaks to Rangers' European form over the past few years.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was just going to move on to James Tavernier. I mean, how big a game is it for him tonight? If Alex, obviously, it was in the cold for a while when Fib come on and he was on the bench, but he was speaking yesterday. He basically said it's all about us. It's a great opportunity to get to the semi-final. It's important for us to play as and also he went on to say it's important to play as a team. And I suppose that you've seen the opposite under Barry Ferguson, whereas Barry Ferguson, we all know that he's a big Rangers fan. He loves the club and all that. But it's the total opposite when Philip Clement was there. You think they were playing, you think they just met up on the street and just started playing football?
Yeah, I don't know if it's me reading into things because it's a new manager and whatnot, but you see the photos of the training, the videos of the training, there seems to be a lot more smiles, a lot more fun being had, a bit more of a togetherness. You've got, they just look a bit more cohesive as a unit. Maybe there was an element of separation, or maybe it was just the feeling behind the club. But I think just steering a little bit away from your original question, I think under Barry Ferguson that is something that's come in that Philippe Clement didn't have was accountability. If fame, it'll be a famous interview after Rangers lost to Queen's Park. He's given it. Oh, we had 28 shots or whatever. You just lost to Queen's Park at Ibrox. You can't. It doesn't matter how many shots you've had. Barry Ferguson has put a lot of emphasis on accountability, and I'm sure when his players don't play up to the standard, he's in their faces telling them. But I think he maybe uses them, but he doesn't strike me as someone who's like hard all the time. Maybe the method of the carrot and the stick. He can be in your face when he needs to be, but he can put an arm around your shoulder as well, because he knows what it is to play for this club. The tough sort of nature of it. So I think having him in that dressing room has helped. Going back to that question about the playing as a unit kind of thing has helped the team come together. They take responsibility when it goes wrong, but they're taking responsibility together. So I feel like that's kind of the change.
Alex, just on Ferguson in general, not just for the European run, but for the long term, do you think, in your opinion, it's the right decision to maybe keep him in the job? What's your sort of thoughts on that?
No, not right now. I think he's a stopgap. I think when the new owners come in, I think reports are saying it'll be done in May. They want to bring in their own guy, sort of make a statement. Although, if the unthinkable happens and Rangers win the Europa League, I still probably wouldn't want him, but it's like you can't justify not giving it to him, if you know what I mean. It would be quite weird, but as of right now, I wouldn't take Barry Ferguson permanently. I think he's into, what he's talked about a lot, just in getting that sort of Rangers attitude, I suppose, if you want to call it that, into the players, and get them fighting. And because he's not, he did surprise us a few times against Fenerbahce, against Celtic, but he's not a tactical genius. His coaching staff, although they've had managerial experience, aren't tactical geniuses either. No disrespect to the likes of Billy Dodds and Neil McCann, but yeah, I'd rather someone in more, I don't know, more with a better pedigree. Also, maybe I read today that Ancelotti might be leaving Real Madrid. So if he can come over to Rangers, I'd be happy with that.
You mentioned a stopgap there, Alex, but I wanted to get your take on, obviously things weren't going well. Rangers, the league title, maybe some people could say maybe December, or some people could have said November, earlier than that, and it was turmoil, especially the defeat against Queen's Park at Ibrox as well. And look, I mean, yeah, Clement came away with some stupid statements about we get beat today, but we played well because we had 25 shots at goal, and you're thinking, well, you still get beat. Now, and I know Rangers board and all that is taking some amount of criticism as well because of what's going on off the park as well. But do you think it was a right appointment at the moment to appoint Barry Ferguson to get the fans back on side?
I think so. I think there was that initial kind of like, oh, what are we doing this for? And then it was kind of like, he's Rangers man. As that term has been bandied about quite a lot, but yeah, Rangers man, get some of the fans on side, get I've mentioned the attitude a lot, get the attitude back in the players, the right attitude, get them taking accountability, because obviously I'm I can't speak to this 100%. But if your former manager Philippe Clement had that attitude of dodging accountability, you've got to imagine it bleeds into the players. So I think for this period where the season's basically done, out the Scottish Cup, the league's done, still Europe to play for, that was maybe the only thing that I was a bit like, oh, Clement's done well in Europe, maybe keep him in for the campaign. But I think, with hindsight, I think it has been the right appointment. Obviously, it's not been perfect, but for the time being, I think he's a good man to steady the ship.
Robbie?
Yeah, but I think Clement was in the job for the a few of the games that happened after he gets let go. The Kelly one springs to mind. I don't think the Rangers team come back from 2-0 down to Kilmarnock if it's under Philippe Clement. They just never had that mentality. So I think it was the right appointment. There is a really good thread, Alex, I don't know if you've seen it, from a guy called Josh Black on X about the next Rangers manager. And he basically made a short list of a lot of names. And there's some actual really interesting candidates that he's put on the list. It's not just the classic, Gerrard, Deitch, Mourinho, all the names that you're sort of seeing flung around. He's went a bit more in depth. Guys like Kevin Muscat, who is obviously over at, I think, Shanghai Port. He's named an MLS manager as well, Wilfred Nancy. So he's made some interesting picks on who he fancies as next Rangers manager. And I'm just interested that I'm excited to almost see next season who these new owners pick. They don't need to go for the big fancy name that knows the game well. They can pick one of these guys that, yes, they know what they're doing. It's not going, they're not going too far with somebody like Kevin Muscat. He's a guy that I'm sure would come in and would know the role. Whereas I just feel with some of the managers that Rangers have had in recent times, they maybe don't get what it takes to play for the club. Now, obviously, someone like Giovanni, I think, he obviously knew what it was like. And my personal opinion is he still shouldn't have been sacked to this day. I don't think that was the right decision for me. But, you've got a guy like Clement who, just to me, didn't know what it took to manage Rangers. For me, it was, undoubtedly, he's a good manager. He's managed in some top leagues and done some good things. But over in Scottish football, for me, I just don't think he knew what it took.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. Definitely, I thought at the start it was maybe a bit of a language barrier. Although he speaks really good English, some of the ways language English is interpreted when you're trying to learn a second language, it can be different, and maybe that's why he was getting quotable, but it just continued. And I'd agree with the Van Bronckhorst point as well. In hindsight, I think at the time I don't know, I think I was 50-50 on it, but I was like, we've not been doing too well. However, I think that was a poor decision. Michael Beale was a disaster. And then we've got into this cycle of every year or so we're sacking a manager. I think for the longest time I was saying stick with Clement, because rebuilds don't take a few months. They take a couple. Just look at Arteta with Arsenal. However, there was no visible improvements. You'd maybe see it 1 week and you're like, oh, this is the catalyst. But no, I think by the end I was happy with the Philippe Clement sacking. So, but I will say, if the new owners do get a new manager in, and I think the Rangers fans need to be patient, because it won't be all sunshine and rainbows. It will be a rebuild, and hopefully you will see that the start of the changes that we never saw under Philippe Clement. A lot of people are under the impression as well that these new owners will come in and it'll be a big cash injection. That's not the way they operated with Leeds. They did give them a bit. Well, obviously it's a bit of a different scenario, because they slowly took over Leeds over the course of 5 years, I think it was. Whereas Rangers are going 51% right off the bat, and they'll be the majority owners. But I think that from what I've read, the way they'll go about it is they will give Rangers a little bit of money to spend. However, they want to get revenue streams in, very like an Americanized attitude of getting money in from anywhere. They obviously got Leeds, the massive Red Bull deal. They want to start creating all sorts of revenue streams through to come into the club to build finances. So yeah, like I said, if they do get a new manager in, the new owners, I think the Rangers fans need to be patient.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie can come in here. Obviously, Stephen Robertson was having a rough time at the beginning, and look at him now. Like I think he's got the keys capability. You know, he's done a brilliant job. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like Rangers and Celtic, as we know, Alex, you don't have any time. I think your benchmark is either beating Celtic or winning one of the cups. But I think as well that Europe is a good distraction at the moment to the Rangers fans because they're not getting on the Borg's back.
Yeah, and, you know, that has been the problem for Rangers. You know, it's not just these drop points, and I know what Alex was saying earlier. And I know when Rangers, I think it was after a Union St Gallo result, then they beat Ross County 4-0, and you're thinking at that point, I think they lost 1-7, and it was to Man United. You're sort of thinking at that point, okay, maybe Clement's turned a corner here, and then obviously Queen's Park comes in the cup, and it's just straight back to square one. But that's been the problem for the last few Rangers managers. I don't think they fully know how to beat Celtic. The last time I can remember a manager, you know, really knowing how to beat Celtic was obviously Gerrard. And even Gerrard, I think the first couple of Old Firm games he played, he struggled in. I know he lost the one at Celtic Park, the first one he played. So, you know, it's always been a big problem for Rangers, and that is what Rangers managers get judged on, as do Dundee managers, Hibs managers, Hearts managers. When you play your rivals, you get judged on if you can beat them, and that's why Crouchley's having such a rough time at Hearts right now, because he's failing to beat Hibs. So, I can, you know, whoever the next Rangers manager is, whoever it may be getting into next season, they know the expectations there. They need to be able to beat Celtic, and they need to be able to do it quickly, because as Michael said, when you manage Rangers and Celtic, you don't get an awful lot of time. So it will be interesting to see who the next manager ends up being, and if he can overcome that Celtic challenge.
On the back of that point, Robbie, and I know that American owners are just about there. As you were saying, Alex, confirmed on this in the summer and then to the next season. But that's not gonna kind of like, if I play good devil advocate, that's not gonna kind of bring you success. But also on the back of that point is you need to watch American owners coming in and different billionaires coming in from all over the world. Because I mean, you saw it with Hearts years ago, like Romanov, like Skarki to pick the team as well. You know, so there's always a bit of doubt in your mind about, oh yeah, okay, this guy's got tons and tons of money, but at the same time, you've always got the doubt in your mind. Well, if he got to kind of interfere with the team, and is he got to start picking the team as well?
I mean, I think you need to look at what the owner's done with Leeds. You know, Leeds are a team that I do believe they're on track for promotion this season. So, you know, it's a group that I think they're smart with their money. You know, as Alex said earlier, they're not just going to come into Rangers and fling unlimited money at them and go wild. It'll be done in stages. Obviously, they'll want to make money off the Rangers as well. So, I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously, Alex, I think you're saying the deal's going to be done in May. So, that whole summer sort of for Rangers is going to be a pretty interesting one to keep an eye on.
What's your take on? Yeah. No, I was just going to say, what's your take on it? Oh, Alex.
Like on the way it's going to happen in the summer, or
gets basically everything, like new owners coming in, but also you've got that fear at the back of your mind, where are they going to interfere with the team, or are they going to they go to start picking the team?
I think it's a positive thing for Rangers. Coming with the new owners, definitely. I don't think they will, sort of, start trying to get their hands on the team. If you look at the interviews from the 49ers Enterprises representatives talking about Leeds, they understand football. I think they understand the passion. They understand that it is, a work. Although it's not. It's been sort of steering away from loads of these ideas, Super Leagues. It's a working class sport, and I think they understand it. And just because they've got the money, I think they sort of identify with it, and and I think overall it will be positive. It's because Rangers has been a financial mess for years, not just talking about the administration, but also the revenue. Like Rangers barely have any revenue streams. I think right now Rangers. I'm reading this. I'm remembering this off the top of my head, but I watched like a breakdown video. Rangers are their value is like 80 million, which for a club of Rangers' size and the support base that they have is shocking. It's really low. It is low, and that's why they make losses almost every single year. So I think with these guys coming in, they've done it in other sports as well. They've done it in cricket. They've dipped their toe in the water with football with Leeds. Now they're coming to Rangers. I can only see positive things coming out of it. The only concerns I'd maybe have is, Americanizing our sport, because a lot of I'm not against American sport. I'm a big fan of the NBA, but a lot of it is very kind of commercial. A lot of the fans, I think, over there don't. It's not like ingrained in them the way it is. You get fans from from like all over the America who only they choose to support the Lakers, or maybe that's just the pot calling the kettle black because I chose to support the Lakers. But you've got supporting the Lakers or the Boston Celtics or something, but they're from nowhere near there or something like that. And I think that's maybe the European sport attitudes are different, because it's from it's ingrained in you from a young age. It's like you don't. I didn't choose Rangers. My dad chose Rangers for me. You know what I mean? So, I think that's maybe the only concern I would have about Rangers maybe perhaps getting commercialised and Americanised. But other than that, I can only see positives coming out of this takeover.
So, I mean, Alex is, a fan, and, you go to home games and stuff, the conversation that I've had with quite a lot of Rangers fans over the last few weeks is, season ticket renewals are now coming out, ticket prices are only increasing. As a fan of Rangers, and I look at it even for my own club, and I know obviously it's two very different clubs, Sunderland and Rangers, your results have been, a bit poorer in the league, why... When ticket prices are going up, as we said, football's becoming a business sport. Why, as a fan, do you think, in your opinion, you should look at this and go, I'm going to renew my season ticket, I'm going to give money to these guys that are currently in control of the club, why should fans sort of buy into this? Because, as you said, the new orders are coming in, but ticket prices are increasing, shirts are going to be coming out soon for the next season as well, so, there's a lot of money to be spent. Why should Rangers, after the season that they've had, fans want to give them the money?
I think if you're thinking logically, you don't. But football is not. It's not a logical sport, is it? For you just like I every year buy all the Rangers kits, all the main kits that come out at full price as soon as they come out. My dad always waits until they're down and he gets them. But I'm not a season ticket holder myself, but I try to go. I've got It's kind of weird. I've got like a contact where I can get to someone who used to be like a head of a supporters club, so I can get to this same seat whenever I really need a ticket. I work at the weekends quite a lot now, so I don't like to see them as much as I can. But yeah, back to your original question, I don't think they should. I don't think people should if the ticket prices are increasing. But it's like it's not logical, is it? You'll just renew it to support your team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously football is, it's a passionate game, we all love it and it's the reason we do it. But, I was listening to, a Man U fan's point on their club as well, and it's sort of like, no matter how many people decide, I'm not going to go because ticket prices are only getting bigger, there's always going to be a queue at the door, and it's the same with Rangers. No matter how many people decide, what, I don't want to give them the money, there's going to be a queue there. But for me, it'd be nice for once to, maybe see the fans make a protest on this type of thing, ticket prices, and it's not just for clubs, that are maybe doing bad in the league, like Rangers, or it's for my club as well, who's just getting a third consecutive top six. You look at it, and I think fans should be coming together and going, no, you need to stop increasing these ticket prices. We want to be a part of this, yes, but yous are just making it impossible for a regular everyday fan to be able to go to these games and be able to afford the tops for the season tickets, food when you're at a match day, all that sort of stuff comes together. And I feel even worse for, away fans that, if someone pays a season ticket and then is paying X amount of money to go away, 19 or 20 times a season, it's a really expensive thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's happening all over football. I can't remember what the show's called, but it's that one on Sky Sports where they get all the Premier League fans kind of sitting on the benches that go after each other. There was a debate on that about ticket prices, and going back to the Americans, actually, they were talking about how like an average like NFL tickets, I think it's like $400 to $600 to go and watch one game, and that's not even like playoffs or it's not, and it's and that is also one of my concerns that links into what you're saying, mate, about the rising ticket prices. I've got a couple of mates in my uni class, big Kelly fans. They've been complaining because their ticket prices are going up as well. For a lot of clubs, I think it's a survival thing because they need to keep up, with these other. Because if the bigger clubs are raising their prices and people are paying it, you spoke about Man United earlier with that new stadium they're bringing out. They'll have loads of people. They'll have tourists who will get season tickets, even though they just have money to throw around, kind of thing. And these clubs, the gaps will get bigger. So I think just saw a message there from Paul. He's been in a couple of times talking about. He said he's renewed his ticket at Pittodrie, but he's cutting back on away matches, and that's just like. And I'm assuming he's probably been following his club home and away for years, and I think it's a sad thing when it gets to the point where. That a man like him who's been following his club for so long gets to the point where he goes, I can't afford that anymore. It just doesn't financially make sense.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. I was just going to say finally on that point. I've been a season ticket holder for them for 7 years now. Next season's the first season I'm not able to afford the season ticket since following the club. So. It is only getting bigger. I'll not be able to go to every home game. I'll need to pick and choose. But it is such an interesting topic. You could spend hours talking about it. It is becoming that bad. And I do agree with you, Alex. Not just with the American owners. I think sport in general is becoming Americanized. I think people are looking over there, looking at what their sports are doing. And it's all
the money. It's the revenue, isn't it? It's the revenue. The owners here are looking with the dollar signs in their eyes going, oh, they can do that, and they'll do it over here because they just want more money in their pockets.
What's obviously, yeah, we're hoping to do a show about that before the end of the season as well, like the cost of living and sport. I might be showing my age now, guys, but football's not football. Football's a business across the board. Even look at the TV deals as well. But going back to tonight's game, Alex, what are what will Barry Ferguson be saying to the players? What will the kind of game plan go? Do you think they'll go gung ho from the first whistle, or will they take it in stages in this game?
I think it will be. I think the message will be to keep it tight, but be aggressive, like we saw away at Fenerbahce. Rangers allowed them to have a lot of the ball, but they didn't just sit and defend. They pressed in moments, and the first goal came from pressing and getting that. So I think Rangers, they need to be defensively solid. Athletic Club will have a lot of the ball, but if they can pick their moments, with Diamande or perhaps Hagi coming out of the midfield helping, moving into a 3, and then when they need to defend, coming back in. But pick their moments, be aggressive, press in the right moments, keep a good shape, and take your chances when they come.
Robbie, what do you think Barry Ferguson will say to the team? Obviously, he might say go out and take that atmosphere in, and look what the job that you've got to do tonight.
I think the players will know themselves. I don't think they need Barry Ferguson to tell them how big this game is. This is literally, it says it in the title of this stream, all or nothing for Rangers. This is it. This is the game. If they lose this and they go out tonight, then the rest of the season means absolutely nothing. If they can go through, they give themselves a chance. And, I'm not trying to downsize, any of the teams that are left. Obviously, Athletic Bilbao themselves are big, but I'm looking at the rest of the field. Tottenham, Man United, that's two very big English clubs who are having some very poor seasons. And I'm under no illusion that Rangers are also having a very poor season, but in Europe, they know how to do it. When they went away to Old Trafford, it was very close. If it wasn't for, a one mistake at the back, they would have been walking away with a point. So Rangers, for me, and I don't think I'm going too far in saying that there's a genuine chance that they could see themselves in the final. I do believe that. I don't think it's sort of the possibility that Rangers can go through. So it'll be interesting tonight. I think Barry Ferguson will get the point across, although I don't think he needs to. This is a big game. This is it. But it's up to the players now to go and perform once they cross over that white line. As Alex said, I think that I don't think it will be gun ho. I don't think it will be going at them, but they need to pick the times to press. Rangers can press very well in Europe. They've done it away at Fenerbahce quite well. So Rangers should go there and just play with freedom. There's absolutely, yes, you need to defend well and pick your moments, but don't be scared of this Athletic Bilbao team. You can hurt them on the break.
Half an hour away from kickoff in Spain, and I don't know how the nerves are, Alex, yet. But before I ask you about that again, Robbie, can you give us a wee quick rundown of the team if anybody's just tuning in?
Yep, so the team is Liam Kelly in goals, a back three of Leon Balogun, John Souttar and James Tavernier. Yefte and Yilmaz are the two wing backs with Hagi and Raskin in the midfield. Diamande and Raskin in the midfield, Hagi in front. In the front two will be Dessers and Vaclav Cherny. On the bench for Rangers, it'll be Jack Butland, Maguri, Insiala, Hutton, McCallion, Rice, Barron, Curtis, Danilo, Igaman and Bajrami.
Alex, we've kind of said this all season on the show as well, and obviously Celtic went through a wee spell and that, but if you look at the bench, there's nobody really there that would kind of like come on and kind of like change the game for Rangers.
I'd agree with that. The only one that I would say would bring on to make an impact would be Hamza Igaman, because I think he's definitely shown his talent this season. We've got to remember though he went through a little spell of not scoring, and I think Rangers fans are so reactionary, and I got a bit annoyed because people started turning on him. You got to remember it's his first season in European football, 22 years old, first time out of Morocco. So give him a chance. But yeah, he's definitely one with tremendous talent. But yeah, I'd agree. The rest of the bench is not not great. Bayrami's one that's so frustrating. He's so slow, like on the ball. He'll do something good, and then you're thinking pass it, and then he takes an extra like 2, 3, 4 touches, and he loses it. And I don't know if that's because of his experience in Italian football, that is recognised as a slower kind of league across the world. Scottish football, it's not like it's not a great league, but it's a very physical league. You'll have players with raw physical ability. You just need to look at Robbie's team, St Mirren, full of guys with pace, power, just big guys that'll bash into you as well. Some technical ability, but a lot of it is it's a very Stephen Robinson team. I think Bayrami has been poor this season for the money they paid for. I think it was $3.5 million. Not a lot off the bench. So the starting 11 will need to do it.
Alex, what about someone like Finlay Curtis, who obviously played? I thought he played very well against Aberdeen in stages. I thought when he didn't need to defend and he was on the attack, I thought he was very good. I'm not saying he should get a chance tonight because it is a big game, but how if he was to go in, could he make an impact? I think he's got the ability there.
Yeah, I think it's touch and go with young players a lot of the time. Obviously, he had to get called upon in the Man United game, and he was decent. He's shown bits of quality this season. That's also one thing that I have really liked about Barry Ferguson. He's sort of been trying to integrate the young players, give them opportunities. Obviously, Bailey Rice started last week. But Finlay Curtis. The simple answer to your question is I don't know. Because I think young players are unpredictable. So when Ross McCausland first broke through, he was making impacts, and now look at him now. A lot of fans don't want him to ever pull on a jersey again. But if he's given the chance, I'm sure he'll do his best to take it. Because young players, it's often said about them, they're fearless. It's not that sort of thing has not been instilled in them yet of playing it safe. One of my favourite players to watch recently was Desiree Doué for PSG. Just electric in the first leg against Aston Villa. Scored a beautiful goal, but it looked like he was on the playground. And the fearlessness that comes with being a young player, just coming in and looking to make your mark, I think is a big advantage. So yeah, if Curtis gets the chance, I'm sure he'll do his best. But yeah, you never know.
There you go. So that was your preview for Bilbao Rangers, and we'll be back at 10 o'clock tonight. Thanks to all your comments coming in. Thanks to Robbie, and thanks to Alex as well. We'll be back at 10 o'clock to look back in the 90 minutes of the Rangers game tonight, as I say, against Bilbao. So we'll see you at 10 o'clock here.
All the build-up and reaction to Rangers in the Europa League on Independence Live.